questions. I'm going to start my recording now. I've got a couple people who I know emailed me ahead of time that cannot make it tonight. So everybody who I know is supposed to be here is here. Bienvenidos, bienvenidas. ¿Cómo están todos? ¿Están bien? ¿Bien?
Sí.
Bien, ok.
Muy bien.
Estoy bien porque tengo mi caña, mi cerveza. Yeah, beer makes everything better. Okay. Fantastico. Anytime you get questions during the week, you know, something strikes you and you say, we need to revisit this, or we need to do this again. Whatever, lo que sea, whatever it might be. Always feel free to shoot me a quick email, you know, saying, hey, Marilyn, you know, we would like to do this. Sometimes I cannot incorporate it into that particular week, but I will within like, you know, 2 weeks time. But usually I try to incorporate it right away because for me, nothing is written in stone, you know. You're paying, so if you've got a question, yeah, that's what this is about, yeah? Okay. Lo que vamos a hacer, what we're going to do, lo que vamos a hacer, what we're going to do today. We're going to split it up between, you know, a few different things. I know you supposedly did some prep, and if you didn't, really don't sweat it. You know, if you didn't do the prep and I put you in a breakout room and you haven't got much to say, just kind of listen. You'll be learning from what the other people in the breakout room are doing. So, you know, no se preocupen, don't worry, you guys. Okay. We are, however, going to work that verb ver a little bit, both as a regular ver and a little bit as verse. We're going to work a little bit reflexives, kind of reintroducing what they are, why they're important, why do you want to know how to use that. I'll take any review questions about the Destinos episode. I kind of took some notes about things that might have come up as questions that I'll hopefully do a preemptive answer on. And the burning question for this week, it was on people's minds that I didn't plan for, but qué buena pregunta. What a good question. Before I send you off into practice, the question came up again. You know what, Marilyn, can you address this whole thing of, you know, I was looking up, I want to talk about what I do in my routine. I'm prepping, how to talk about, oh, you know, what I see, what, you know, what's the view I see from my kitchen window, my patio, my bedroom window, you know, wherever. And in the process of doing this, I translated. And I said, ay, Dios mío, wow. Okay, I'm in trouble now. What do I do when I translate? What do I do again? I know you had advice. I kind of forgot, you know, I thought this was really embedded in the gray matter, but maybe not so much. What should I do when I prep for a speaking session? What should I do about translating? Should I translate? Crap, it's hard to translate. I don't like translating. Well, no one likes translating. Because, you know, does it have to be exact? Maybe not. Okay. Anytime you're trying to, and I prefer when you come into a speaking group that you just have little apuntes, little notes for yourselves. You know, maybe something on a little card, but little notes. I prefer you don't actually go through that whole, I'm going to plug it into Google Translate thing. Because I can guarantee, I can tell every time when people do that. I have 15 years of people doing that, okay? And they swore to me, I did not run it through the translator. Yeah, right. And usually the reason you can tell, the reason I can tell is that it starts to spit out all kinds of phrases that you don't know at all. You kind of sort of know, but you're not really like, it's just not going to pop into your brain and out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Okay. The better idea, the simpler idea, so that you make it simple for yourself is don't try to translate ever word for word. Start with an idea. Like, you want to talk about what you see out of your window. Start with that, just with that verb ver, and just conjugate it for whoever does it. Vemos, we see. Ves, you see. Desde mi ventana, from my window, desde mi ventana, ves, 1, 2, 3, the things you see. Start with the infinitive. Maybe you're not using, ver. Maybe it's more complicated. Maybe you want to talk about what you do in a routine. And maybe you want to say, por ejemplo, maybe, I got to put this up. Maybe you want to use ponerse, I put on, like I put on sandals every day, right? I don't want you to translate every word. I want you to say, I got to use poner, and I got to use it with the se. I got to make it reflexive. So I'm going to talk about myself. This is an oddball one. It's going to be pongo. And because I'm putting sandals on my own body, it's going to be me pongo, me pongo. Me pongo las sandalias todos los días. So always start with the verb idea and conjugate from there. Because remember, in Spanish, quite often, you don't need the yo, the tú, the nosotros. You might need it if you're talking about one person, right? Because this word pone, if I use it as pone, one person doing it, it could be, pone could be for usted, it could be for mi amiga, could be for mi hermano, could be for mi hijo, right? Ponen with an N at the end for they put something on, se ponen, they put on sandals. Could be mis hijos se ponen, it could be ustedes se ponen, you guys put something on. So, with those two, you might want to mention who's doing it. But with the other ones, you don't really need to. If you want to talk about what somebody has, start with tener, just think, boom, I want to talk about tú, you, it's tienes. I want to talk about nosotros, it's tenemos. Yeah. If you're coming back to Spanish after a while of not practicing it, you may want to get a conjugation table cheat sheet to keep like next to your laptop or tablet, so that you've got a reminder that amos, hemos, imos, they're we verbs, right? And if you need a cheat sheet for that, let me know. I can set you up with something from my own files, no problem. So always start with the verb and just go with, what form do I put it in? And now fill in the details, Fill in the details about what I'm putting on, what I see out my window, what I'm cooking. Now, what's a little bit harder, and we'll acknowledge this because a lot of what we'll do this winter will work around this. Sometimes, you want to say you're doing something for somebody. And then you got that problematic thing of, which stinking pronoun is it? Yeah. Is it a mete se nos? Is it a mete le nos les? Is it a mete nos lo la los las? The good news is, if somebody is doing something to me, it's always me. There's no real decision. If we're doing something to ourselves, it's always nos. If anybody is doing something to us, if they're calling us, if they're cooking for us, if they're serving us something, that's always the nos part. Whoever is getting that action, right? There's who's doing the action. Who's doing the action? That's the verb's job. The verb tells the story of who's doing something and when they're doing it. You don't need to worry too much about past and present unless you feel like you can do that, in which case go ahead, but keep it real simple present. The verb tells a story, just put it in the right form for the right person, okay? It's filling in all those other little things that kind of get us, confused, make us bashful. And yeah, you know where I'm going with that. Does that help a little bit? Okay. ¿Les ayuda un poquito? Does it help you guys? You guys. ¿Les ayuda un poquito? Does it help you? Oh, and things too, like when you want to say it helps, that it kind of never gets translated. We can't translate word for word because sometimes some things don't get translated at all. If I want to say this helps me, esto, this, me ayuda, this, me it helps. But the it never happens. It only happens when you want to say, uh-oh, I didn't bring my wallet. I have no money. How are you going to pay for it? Well, that it is an actual thing, right? But it helps, the it never gets translated, And so you want to translate ideas, and you want to work in word groups rather than this word march in English, because it might not all be in English order. Yeah. Like you want to say, I'm hungry. You can't say, yo soy hambre. You can't do that.
Yeah, hambre.
Yeah, tengo hambre. You've got to know that to say I'm hungry, they don't use I am. In most cases, it's just tengo hambre. I have hunger. But they use a different grouping of words to translate that idea. So that's why you want to translate ideas. Okay, game? We're going to open with a fun, super short video. Ooh, so Marlene, a video is coming your way. If you get booted out, come back on in. Here's a video, and it shows you why we can't translate word for word, because some words, some phrases, some ideas just, they don't translate at all. Not even a little. So we're going to show you some examples of that, of things that don't translate. So for this, just sort of absorb, become a sponge, and these are some examples of things that don't translate at all, why you can't translate word for word. And the theme of this is that five words, and there are more than five, but 5 words that are impossible to translate.
I hate this stuff. Most of the stuff you can't say in English. Soy Dominicana.
I am from El Salvador.
Dominicans.
And I'm Puerto Rican.
To try something new.
Like poniendo un show.
Isn't like grand opening or something?
Someone's trying on a new outfit.
Like you're putting it on, you're breaking them in, stretching them out.
When you're barely gonna use something, like you bought something and you're gonna use it for a certain date.
I would say, I don't know.
I'm wearing this today.
Oh, like showing them off?
Ooh.
I'm gonna use this for the first time.
That's the best translation. The word they're talking about is estrenar. It sounds like it's about training. Estrenar, it's not about training at all. Estrenar. Estrenar is to use something for the first time, to come out for the first time, to debut. Oh, so you would never look up try on for the first time, because there's one word that says that whole idea. And if you tried to translate all those words, people would look at you like, what are you trying to say? That's just estrenar. Okay, so la película estrena, the movie comes out. Estreno, because I can. Estreno mis perlas. I'm wearing my pearls for the first time. Anytime I do something for the first time, especially if I have it on my body, yeah, that's estrenar.
I'm trying this outfit on for the first time.
That's what I say. Didn't I say that?
Casa ajena's like,
When it's
Ooh, casa ajena, casa ajena, casa, you know, house. If you look up ajena, it'll say something like foreign, not your own. What the heck? But you know that word ajena is tagged onto a bunch of different things, and casa ajena is a tagline phrase. Okay, but this description really does tell you
not
what it
your
means.
house.
somebody you don't know or somebody you do know, but it's not your immediate family's house.
Not yours, somebody else's.
You can't open the fridge because that's not okay.
Like you're in someone else's house, so you respect it.
You sit down, you don't touch nothing.
Ajeno. How do you say ajeno in English?
Oh my God.
How to say in English, that's, I have no clue.
Hey friend, let's go to Jimmy's house, but you can't touch nothing. It's a house that we don't know, so you can't. Shit, this is hard.
Okay, so casa ajena is, you know, people are implying you got to be polite. You don't just go do what you feel like, because it's not your own. It's not your own territory. It's not home field. Yeah. Okay. Casa ajena.
Provecho's like,
Another one, I know what it means, but have no clue how to say it.
When you're handing or handling food or doing something and you give it to someone, you're like,
Hope you enjoy it.
it's like, enjoy it, buen provecho.
like the cheers of food. Like, bon appetit.
That's not English.
Oh shit, that's not English.
It's like bon appetit.
But that's not English.
Yeah, that's Italian.
But bon appetit is this exact same thing. It is the same thing as bon appetit, and you know what bon appetit
An
means.
exact word to say it, no clue.
Good enjoyment.
Enjoy your food.
Comadre is like, how would I say?
Comadre and compadre.
Godmother and godfather, right?
No, that's padrino.
When you have a baby and that baby, you baptize it. So that person that baptized your baby, that's your comadre slash compadre.
Let's say somebody is the mother of my, hold on.
If I had a child and I named my best friend the godmother of my child, then that person is my comadre and compadre. But I don't know how to say that in English. My baby's godmother and godfather.
In English, if it would be in English, co-parents.
Te quiero, papi.
Ooh, this one's important. Es importante. If you take any notes, if you are an obsessive note taker, here is the one. La diferencia entre te quiero y te amo. The difference between te quiero and te amo.
Te quiero.
Te quiero is like,
I like you.
So te quiero is more of like a term of endearment.
I like you a lot.
I like you and I love you, like somewhere in that middle realm.
It's more of like a friendship love, not like I love you and I want you in me kind of thing.
Te amo is love.
Te amo means I love you.
I love you.
It means he's passionate. I'm in love with you.
Okay, sí. Te amo siempre, siempre. Te amo es algo que se refiere a la pasión, al amor romántico. Yeah, te quiero, you use for your mom, your aunt, your uncle. You use for your friends because you love your friends, but it's not, you know, like love, yeah. So those are all ideas that are really, really hard to translate, and there are more, but those are really the common ones. And that estrenar thing, it is a biggie because a lot of times people talk about what I got on for the first time, yeah, or what I'm doing for the first time, and that's estrenar. Siempre es estrenar. Okay, bien. So we'll get that kind of out of the way. Do you have any other questions before we dive into ver, to talk about ver? No, okay. Fantástico. Fíjense, notice guys, la semana pasada, ¿dónde está la letra? ¿Dónde está? Oh. Ok. Perdón, aquí viene Marlene. Okay. La semana pasada, last week, we talked about, this idea of lyrics, because this kind of connects into it too. You have lyrics like this from that song from last week. Ya no te creo, ya no te deseo, ya no te creo. I don't believe you. And that te isn't talking about who is doing it. That's talking about who is being believed, right? So we want to pay attention to these little verbs if they're pertinent. If they're pertinent, it doesn't pertain in every situation, but like through here, como te mira, how he looks at you. Mira tells a story of who's looking. The te, he looks at you. So we want to pay attention to all those little things, but we're going to go back to the very, very simplest idea of how do we use this idea of ver. So if you have little notes on ver, talking about what you can see from a certain place in your house or your favorite spot, you got your favorite watering hole, your favorite alone space, yeah. Vamos a ver aquí ver, el verbo ver. Ver es percibir. Ver is just perception, what you see, or could be whom you see. Okay. And the only thing that's a little bit odd to remember with ver is that normally we drop the ER, but for yo, we don't drop the E part of the ER. We keep that little letter E, little letter E, the E, and it becomes bello. We tag on the O still to say that I do it, but bello, I see. So bello is the only oddball one that breaks that pattern of it, brings the E back from the ER of ver. Yo veo, but then we drop the ER and we add the ER endings, right? Tú ves, you see. Él ve, ella ve, usted ve. Nosotros vemos if you're in Spain based, but we're not. Ellos ven, ellas ven, ustedes ven. Anytime you hear a n at the end of a verb, it means a bunch of people are doing it. As the last sound of a verb, a bunch of people are doing it, two or more. Anytime you have a mos at the end of a verb, we're all doing it. I'm in the group and I'm not by myself. I'm not yo. I've got other people with me. One person, 50 people, 100 people, lo que sea, whatever it may be. Okay? Bien. Entonces, tengo unos ejemplos aquí. Cuando voy al parque, when I go to the park. Cuando voy al parque y monto en bici, and I ride my bike, ¿sí? Veo árboles, animales, muchas piedras y montañas. I see trees, animals, lots of rocks, muchas piedras, lots of rocks, y montañas and mountains. Now, if I want to say I see other cyclists, there's in one teeny itty bitty word I would need to add here, and I'll show you how I would add that on. If I see people and people are receiving the ver action, then I'd have to say veo a. I need to add that little word a. All you need to know is if what I see is a human being, I need to add that little word a. It's just a rule they have. If a human being is an object that means receiving the action of ver, I need that a word there. So veo a muchos ciclistas. I see many cyclists. And there, that little word a has to become, that becomes a thing, okay? But I don't need the a if I talk about stuff, inanimate objects. Animales, because they're not my pets. Yeah, if it were my pet, it would be different. Then I would need an a, because that's a personal animal. Yeah. The bunny rabbit is not, el conejito. The bunny rabbit is not a personal animal. Okay, so that would be if I wanted to talk about what I see when I go to my favorite place to do exercise. You know, if you got a really nice patio, mi patio no es como este patio. My patio is not like this patio. Desde mi patio, pero por ejemplo, desde mi patio, from the point of view of my patio, desde mi patio, veo muchas plantas, la barbacoa, y el patio de mi vecino. Maybe I see my neighbor's patio, right? It doesn't have to be an earth-shattering thing. It's just whatever view you've got, right? Okay. I want to send you off to talk about what you see from a place. I'm going to try to put you into groups of 3. If it's going to sound like we're doing a wedding ceremony, if you have a question now, forever hold your, ask it now or forever hold your peace. Yeah. And you can ask it now because I need to, for some reason, it's not letting my, it used to populate, put people into rooms automatically. For some reason, it's not doing that. I got to figure out why it's not doing that for me. Okay. And we're going to try to mix it up here a little bit. And ooh, un cuadro más, one more room. Okay, I got you all assigned. Most of you are in groups of 3. There are a couple 4s. I want you to talk about what you see from whatever place. Hay preguntas. Are there any questions before I send you off into little rooms to do this? Sí or no? I think you only probably need about 3 minutes, 3 minutos. Do you think that's too little or está bien? 3 minutos o no? O 5. 3 o 5. 3 o 5. 5? 5. Okay, vale. We'll do 5. If you feel like I'm all talked up, baby, okay, then just yeah. I think you can leave. You know, I never go on the leave. My husband went on I was in a breakout room, Marilyn. You wouldn't believe it. He had to go in training. I was in breakout room. I've never done that. Okay, you will need to. I'm going to hit my open rooms button, and I do time it. Make sure you hit the join button. If you fail to hit the join button, it will not send you off. Yeah. When you come back, we'll see if you had any questions. If you didn't prepare something, don't feel self-conscious. Just say, no estoy preparada, no estoy preparado. You know, maybe try to fake something. It works, it's okay. But help coach each other through and then come back and we'll see what kind of questions you might have. ¿Vale? Sí, ¿entienden? ¿Entienden? Okay, it's going to send you off into what looks like Never Never Land, but it isn't. You'll be in a room with somebody. Just hit your join button y 5 minutos. Look for your little join button. Bien, magnífico. Okay. And it mutes you again coming back in, so feel free to unmute yourself. Unless you got fur babies who are frisky. Mis gatitos están dormidos. Mine are all asleep. Todos están dormidos. ¡Ah!
All right.
¡Tienes un perro grande! ¡Qué precioso! ¡Qué precioso! ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama el perro? Tu perrito, Jan. ¿Cómo se llama?
Dash. Yeah. Dash? Yeah.
Ah, es precioso. Y cariñoso. And so loving. They're loving, cariñoso, affectionate. Okay. Muy bien. Excelente. Muy bien. ¿Tienen preguntas? Is there any question that came up while you were practicing or something that you used and you weren't sure of? Susana?
Yeah, I was describing the wall, the concrete wall in the back. And I remember, I think you said pared is normally used for inside walls. And is tapia the one de concreta? Is that?
Oh, okay. So a wall that's around the back of your lot.
Right,
And it goes around your property.
right.
Okay. Generally, that is going to be something like this, muralla.
Okay,
Or it might just be muro, shorter word. Some people use the shorter word muro.
okay.
Yeah, the word inside. So an inside wall, and I'll just put it in the chat box here so you can take a look at that. If you're talking about an interior wall, like in your house, and you want to paint the walls of your house, that is called pared, la pared, la pared, la pared. But yeah, a wall that's around your lot, that's a different word usually. Otro buen ejemplo, another good example, you know, not really translatable. Okay, you could say outside wall, but you just say wall, right? Sí, eso es. Gracias, Susana. Okay, hay más preguntas. Sí, no. Pat.
You're muted, Pat.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Pat, you're
just
muted.
figured that out. This is what I wanted to say, that I can see, I'm talking about my window, I can see when the person like of UPS or FedEx is coming. Now I'm talking about people, but because I have the cuando in there, do I still have to do some kind of in there? I hadn't even thought about that.
Pues depende. Well, that would
I did
be,
like puedo ver cuando viene la persona, what I do.
puedo ver cuando viene la persona. Puedo ver cuando. I can see when. You're talking about a situation.
Okay, so I don't.
Es buena pregunta. Yeah, because you're not really. Puedo ver al hombre al obrero de UPS. I can see the UPS worker. Puedo ver al obrero o al hombre de UPS. Sí.
I just hadn't thought about it until you talked about it.
Pero puedo ver cuándo viene.
Cuando viene. That's
Cuando viene el hombre de UPS. And notice when we do that, cuando viene, puedo ver cuando viene, we usually say it as puedo ver cuando viene el hombre de UPS. Usually not as puedo ver, and I gotta think hard, puedo ver cuando el hombre de UPS viene. No.
Okay.
The subject and verb reverse after that word cuando, usually.
Okay.
I can't give you a reason why. People have asked me for years, why do they do that? No sé, no lo sé. I don't know. They just usually do. They understand you if you flip the order, but it usually is that way.
So it's like
Cuando
comes the person of UPS.
When comes the
comes the
UPS
UPS.
man.
Yes.
Cuando viene el chavo de UPS. Yeah, when the UPS guy comes.
Okay.
Eso es. Buena pregunta. Y Juanita y Federico tienen pregunta. Dime, Federico.
I think is a legitimate question to talk to you about the difference between ver, ver and mirar. I have one example where I used miro desde mi ventana, miro las montañas. Then the next one I used veo, saying desde mi ventana veo 7 rocas grandes y 10 animales desierto.
Es buena pregunta, Federico. Es muy buena pregunta. Ok. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Vamos a ver. Let's see. Vamos a ver. Lots of people open up an idea with vamos a ver. It means you're thinking about it. Vamos a ver. Let's see. Vamos a ver. Hay una diferencia entre mirar y ver. Mirar y ver, sí hay una diferencia. Yes, there is a difference. I will, as part of your homework, give you a very good video about that difference. I'll see if there's a slower one. It's kind of, you'll have to slow the guy down.
But we just saw the Juan one.
Juan.
Did I show you that one last week?
Yeah, we saw
Did.
that last week.
Yeah, that one. That is the difference. Ver is just perception. I see things. But mirar indicates an intention of focusing on something, as opposed to just I see. It really isn't that much different as the English difference between watch and see. So you might say you watch something from your yard because that's what you're doing. Can you mix them? Yes. Whatever fits the meaning for what you really do. If you watch the birds, because you've got a bird feeder, okay? Miro los pájaros, miro los pájaros. You know, because if you're a bird watcher, then you're really focusing, and it's better probably to say miro los pájaros. I watch the birds. But if I just want to say, you know, this is what you typically see in my yard. ¿Ves los pájaros en mi patio? You see them. But maybe you're not focusing on them. Mirar. Depende. It depends on what you mean you're doing.
But
Yes,
when
it
you
is.
said, when you look out the window, according to that one guy, it sounded like it should be mirar. And
Yeah.
when I
Miro
look
por la-
out the window, I see. And then that's when you use
Cuando miro por la ventana, when I look through, por is through. Cuando miro por la ventana, veo muchas cosas. Cuando miro por la ventana, veo la naturaleza. Veo todas las cosas de la naturaleza de Arizona. Sí, eso es. Okay. Bien. If you need, there might be another video on it. I'll see if I can look up another one for you. Because the best way to get that is from examples. Juanita, ¿tienes otra pregunta?
So you could translate mirar also as watch versus
bird watch.
watch, where
Look at.
veo is see and buscar is to look for.
Sí, es otra cosa. So here's another translation thing. Look for. Es importante. Es importante que la diferencia de look for, those two words don't go separate in Spanish. They come together into one verb. And it's not mirar and it's not ver, it's buscar. Buscar means to look for, to search.
To seek?
To seek. To seek. We don't use search a lot. You know, if you're reading, you'll see search. But, you know, we don't use search in conversation a whole lot in English. You know, you might, the police were searching for that guy. Yeah. The cops are looking for him. Sí. Los policías buscan al ladrón. Okay, so yeah, look for, seek out, search, it's buscar, a totally different verb, probably. Tienen buenas preguntas. Wow, you got good questions. Hay más preguntas. Any more questions that came up in your practice? Sí o no? No, no, okay. Vale, bien. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. We're going to carry on with this idea of ver, but we're going to take a look at verse. And this is going to step us into the world of reflexives. So do not feel that you must take copious notes. No es necesario. It is not necessary, but we are going to take a look. This is a super conversational thing, especially when you want to talk about how physically somebody looks. If you like to gossip, whether it's nice gossip or backbiting or anything in between, yeah. When you're talking about other people, from my female point of view, I do this all the time. A lot of times, pueden ver, can you guys see my little screen here? Verse? See? No? Okay,
Sí.
momentito. Let me take it off. I'm going to try that again. Una vez más, one more time. Aquí. When you want to say somebody looks a certain way, usually physically, I mean, it could be a state of emotion as well. Could be emotion. If you want to say they look a certain way, like how on that they look tired, oh, they look pretty, they look handsome. Wow, that looks ugly. You know, whatever it may be. We take ver and we often use it as verse, which looks very reflexive, but kind of isn't. This is a colloquial thing that people use in conversation. And usually they're going to use it when they ask you, or, you know, if they tell you if they're concerned, or if they want you to know, wow, you look great. Or if they're concerned that, wow, you don't look so great, they may use this verb. And it looks like it would mean that you see yourself, but yeah, that's not really what it means. You want to talk about how somebody looks at a particular moment, their physical state, their emotional state. We use ver, but we use it reflexively. So you'll hear it, well, maybe as me veo, but usually people will be saying to you, you look a certain way, or that person looks a certain way. You know, there's the gossip part. They look a certain way. Me veo, te ves, se ve, nos vemos, os veis, only in Spain, se ven. Se ven, they look. ¿Ok? Bien. Y entonces, los ejemplos. You use this when you're chatting. Ay, Jaime, te ves muy cansado. Te ves muy cansado. You are expressing concern for your friend. Wow, you look tired. Te ves muy cansado. You put the description after the te ves. You look. Sofía, and now we're talking about Sofía. Sofía se ve tan elegante. Wow, she's looking pretty stellar. Se ve tan elegante. Bien, sí. Oh, pobre Keanu, se ve viejo. Wow, se ve muy viejo en esta foto. He looks really old in this photo. He looks old. Se ve muy viejo. Se ve muy viejo. He is looking old. Tired and run down and old. Álvaro y Enrique se ven muy guapos. Wow, they are good looking. They look good. They look good. Se ven muy guapos. Se ven muy guapos, ¿verdad? These guys are looking good. Okay. So, it might be as simple as a description like, bien, muy bien, looking good. Looking good, but we're going to use bien because we have to use an adverb for this one. Se ve muy bien. Uy, ella se ve muy bien. Wow, she's looking good. Se ve muy bien. No se ve muy bien. Not looking so great. No se ve muy bien. Está enferma. Is she sick? Está enferma. No se ve muy bien. Not looking so hot. Se ve. you think we might say about this guy? Se ve, dot, dot, dot. We want to put a description in. Se ve una idea. Es un hombre que corre mucho. Después de correr un maratón, después de correr 5 millas, se ve ¿cómo? Se ve
¿Cansado?
Se ve cansado. Se ve cansado porque, because. Se ve cansado porque. Let's plug in another idea. Se ve cansado. He looks tired. Se ve cansado porque, because why? Oh, you might have to take yourself off mute.
Correr 5 miles.
Porque corre, we got to conjugate that one too, because it's telling the story of who's running, right?
Corre 5 kilómetros.
Porque corre 5 kilómetros, corre 5 millas, corre todos los días, corre cuando hace calor, corre cuando hace calor. He runs when it's hot. Sí, eso es. Ok. Otro ejemplo. El año 2019, se ve. Aquí se ve. Here he looks. Aquí en 2000, este actor es un actor. Es un actor, ¿no? En el año 2000, este actor se ve, ¿cómo? Se ve
Joven.
Se ve joven, se ve muy joven. En 2000 se ve muy joven. Ahora en 2019 se ve...
¿Más viejo?
Sí, mayor. Older. Another idea that's hard to translate, right? Mayor, older. Se ve mayor. Quizás sí, se ve más viejo, se ve maduro, mature. Ok. Aquí. A la edad de 14 años, a la edad de 44 años, se ve. Aquí se ve, here she looks. La misma mujer, same woman, la misma mujer. Aquí a la izquierda, on the left, a la izquierda, ¿se ve?
Gorda.
Se ve un poquito gorda, un
poquito gorda, sí.
Un poquito gorda. Se ve un poquito gorda. Ahora.
Plata.
Se ve flaca. Se ve muy flaca. Se ve muy flaca.
No gorda.
Delgada, thin, flaca, skinny. Ok. Ok. Bien. Aquí. Aquí se ve.
Flabby. How do you say flabby?
No se ve muy atlético. No se ve muy atlético.
No.
No se ve musculoso.
No.
Ahora se ve
Muy musculoso.
muy musculoso. Se ve muy musculoso. Uy, claro, sí. Se ve muy caliente. Wow, looking hot. Ok. Bien. Ok. ¿Ven la diferencia? Do you see the difference? And we change the meaning of that word, which is why you can't always translate word for word. You know, you might want, oh, wow, he looks a certain way. And you can't use the look of mirar. Because that's not the way we translate that idea. Eso es, okay. Comprenden, understand? See how somebody had that question about translating, how this all ties together? It all hangs together like spit, folks. It does. Okay. So we can't use that idea of looks as mirar to say somebody looks that way. There are some other verbs we can use to express that same idea of se ve, but you know, if you're just chit-chatting with people on the lowdown, like, you know, regular conversation, really, really common thing to do. Okay. Hang with me. We're getting to that whole reflexive thing. I am going to hope that you watched your reflexive video. Yeah, see? Está bien? We're going to take a look. And if you did, but you had questions, or if you did, but it's just dawning on you now that there's some big pregnant question hanging out there, this will be the time to bring it up before I send you out for practice with this. Vamos a ver, we're going to look at cuál es la diferencia. We're going to look again at what's the difference. Because all these things are ideas, that whole thing of translation. Pueden ver, you can see my photos, ¿sí? Las fotos? Okay, bien. Not every verb is going to be reflexive. Not every single one. A lot of them are. And by the way, sometimes when you hear somebody use a se with a verb, you think it's reflexive, but it isn't. But that's another thing. Oh, no, it's not another thing. Because like this, se puede. Se puede doesn't really make this reflexive. You know, sí se puede. Yes, yes, you can. Yes, you in the, not you as the one human being, but you in a very general sense. You, every man. You, any old person. Se puede, se puede. Sometimes that reflexive pronoun se with a verb like puede can mean one can. You, any old you guy can, okay? And sometimes it's not reflexive. But, pero, en general, you've got a verb like llamar, to call somebody. Hey, call like that. Oye, Ramon, ven aquí. Hey, Ramon, come on over, right? Llamar, or por teléfono, llamar, bien? Pero llamarse, to call oneself. And it would sound very stilted in English to say, I call myself. That sounds like, wow, boy, am I important. Yeah, okay. But we use my name is, or I am called, right? Me llamo, te llamas. And with reflexive verbs, the little pronoun matches up with the same kind of verb. So me has to go with a yo kind of verb. Te has to go with a tú kind of verb. Se will go with an ele a usted verb, or se can go with an ellos, ellas, ustedes kind of verb. And nos will always match up with a nosotros verb. That's just the way they work. Okay, aquí, otros verbos que son típicamente reflexivos. These are our typical daily routine kind of reflexives. Despertarse, to wake up, but despertar, your kid wakes you up. Somebody else is doing it to you. The neighbor's dogs are doing it to you. A siren is doing it to you, right? A kid is doing it to you. Okay. Levantarse, literally to lift yourself up, but nobody says in English you lift yourself up. Me levanto, I get up. Get is a very hard word to translate in Spanish, but to get yourself up, your whole body, from a seated or a lying down position is levantarse. But levantar is just to lift something. Boxes, books, stacks of things, right? Okay. Vale, muy bien. Ducharse is just always reflexive. You never hear people using that not reflexive. Ducharse. Bañarse, to take a bath, meaning you do it. But you know, the dog doesn't give himself a bath. So that's just bañar, right? Little kid is too small to be left in the tub or doesn't do a good job, enough job of washing himself. So that's just bañar. Yeah, just bañar. But bañarse, to do it to yourself. Lavarse, lavarse las manos, lavarse las manos, lavarse la cara, right? To wash a body part. But lavar could be platos. Lavar could be el carro. ¿Sí? Lavar la ropa, wash your clothes, right? See, lots of daily routine words, whole bunch of different, very nuanced verbs for get. Again, the get comes in, get dressed. Because you don't say when you talk to people, I dress myself at 7 o'clock in the morning. You say, I get dressed. That's just the way we use it. But they don't use the word get. They don't translate that word. It's translated by the idea of the reflexive. So, vestirse, me visto de verde, I get dressed in green, or I get dressed in, lo que sea, whatever it may be. Vestirse, to get dressed. Vestir is to dress somebody. Or if you're a kid tormenting your dog, yeah, mascota. Ponerse, not get dressed, but put on. Because we have a different verb for that. We say put on. Me pongo una blusa, esa mujer se pone una blusa blanca. Se pone una blusa blanca. She's putting on a white shirt. See? Arreglarse, literally to arrange oneself, but to get ready, right? Arreglar by itself is just to fix something or arrange something. Poner, just by itself, is to put something, to set it down someplace. Bien? Peinarse, to comb one's own hair. Peinar is what the hairdresser does to you when she combs it out, right? A similar related idea of cepillarse could mean if you don't use a comb, but if you use a brush. Cepillarse and cepillar would be somebody else brushing your hair out. Same thing for brush if it's, dientes. And by the way, this verb, one of these two verbs came up in Destinos last week. Cepillarse los dientes, to brush your teeth. In a lot of countries, they like to, instead of cepillarse los dientes, it becomes lavarse los dientes, which literally means to wash your teeth. But that is what you're doing. So, it's just the word they prefer to use because that's their custom. Lavarse los dientes. But cepillar is what you, cepillar without the se is what you do for a toddler. Or if you're a really good person and you brush your pet's teeth. I don't do that. That's when my pets are losing their teeth. Yes. Okay. Acostarse, to go to bed. Go to bed. We don't use all those words that we use in English. It's just acostarse. But acostar is when you put your kid to bed. Okay? When you put a sick person to bed, yeah. Without the se end of it. Sentarse, to seat oneself, to sit down. But sentar is what somebody does when you show them your ticket and they show you to where your space is. Sentar is what a maitre d' does. Sentar is what an usher does. Okay, bien. And then we sometimes just get little nuanced things. Sometimes that se just kind of shifts the idea of dormir a little bit. Dormir, to sleep, but dormirse, to fall asleep. Meaning you're kind of gradually going off to la la land. See? Yeah? So those little ideas, those are ideas of reflexive verbs that talk about your routine, which is the way we usually introduce that. Hay preguntas. I would like you to talk about some routines that you have, but before I send you off into groups, I want you to pipe up and ask me any questions. If you're not sure of how this works, Karen, dime.
Sometimes you can put the pronoun at the end of the infinitive. Can you do it if it's not the infinitive, or does it only work with infinitives for the reflexive verb?
Sí, es buena pregunta. That is a good question. I am not going to address that till we come back from work breakout rooms. Because if you're just talking about what you typically do, you won't do that. When we come back, we'll look at sometimes when you're going to hear these ideas and you say, wait a minute, how come they stuck it on the end of that verb? So we are going to address that. We are going to come back to that, but after we've done the basic practice.
Okay.
Usually the me, te, no se, se comes in front of the verb. If you're just talking about facts, what's going on?
Well, if I say después de, then don't I need to use an infinitive?
Después de, you do, well, give me your whole idea.
Después de ducharme, me seco.
Okay, exacto, perfecto. Después de, and I'm going to write this idea that she had down here. Después de ducharme, me seco. After taking a shower, me seco, I dry off. Bien? Perfecto. Es complicado. This one's complicated. Después de ducharme has to go back, gets kicked back to infinitive because I'm using it after después de.
Right.
Those little pesky prepositions like de require that you kick it back to infinitive. And with the infinitive, it'll get tagged onto the end. Sí.
What about a word like mientras?
Oh, okay.
Infinitive.
Okay. Un ejemplo. Mientras is not, mientras es while. So I've got it down in my chat box. Mientras es while. Okay. If I want to say, while I take a shower, I wash my hair. Okay, muy normal. Mientras has no little word de. So I'm going to treat it regular. Mientras me ducho, mientras me ducho, pum, 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 pum. Mientras me ducho, me lavo el pelo. They both get conjugated. I don't have that nasty little word de. I don't have a stinking preposition. I conjugate them both. They're two. While I do this, I also do this. I use them both in both.
Okay, it was just getting boring saying may this, may that, may this, may that. So
see, so how can you flesh it out so that it's like, well, I'm just not conjugating the verb. Okay, you can add details. You can tell when. You can tell where. Okay, this is where you start to tag on ideas. Me ducho siempre, always. Oh, I'm telling when. Siempre, I'm embellishing. Siempre me ducho por la mañana. Siempre me ducho por la mañana. Siempre me ducho a las 6 de la mañana. Siempre me ducho a las 6 de la mañana.
But you're still having to say me ducho. You can't switch it to ducharme.
No. Siempre ducharme sounds like this. I always to take a shower. Ducharme is to take a shower.
Right.
It doesn't tell who. I always to take a shower. You know what? I am pretty darn sure my grandparents who came over from Poland probably pulled many of those when they were learning English.
But you kind of are saying that when you say después de ducharme.
But yeah, that's getting into grammar ease.
It's really kind of the same weird construction.
They have a rule, and their rule is after a preposition, de, en, por, para. And now you got to know what prepositions are. I know it really stinks. Yeah. Prepositions are itty bitty words. I know while looks itty bitty, but it's not itty bitty enough. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So you'll use
There-
infinitives.
Right. They're itty bitty words that are prepositions are itty bitty words that are very hard to define. They tell you where things are spatially. They tell you, yeah, of or from or in or on or, yeah, they're words like that. Okay, vale. Buena pregunta. ¿Hay más preguntas o no? Think you got the general idea? ¿Sí?
Sí,
¿Entienden
no,
la? Keith.
profesora, una pregunta.
Sí, dime, Keith.
Irse.
Oh,
Help me
irse.
Irse, yeah, that one kind of threw me off a little bit.
Qué avanzado. How advanced. Qué avanzado eres. Irse.
No, I just pulled it off of one of your slides. I didn't go dig it up anywhere.
You can make ir reflexive. Ooh. Me das buena idea. You're giving me a good idea. Yes, sí, exacto. Irse is a very nuanced thing. Voy al mercado. Ah, bien. Hoy voy al mercado. Voy al supermercado hoy. Ah, me voy. I'm out of here. That's the difference. Me voy. I'm out of here. Irse gives it the idea of away or off. Irse gives it the idea of movement more than just go. It makes it more fluid.
See, that's what I was trying to figure to use it to go, right? So I'm trying to using this reflexive to like go for a walk every day.
Oh.
But see, so I'm going out.
Is it more like to do something immediately?
Go for a walk is often expressed this way. Dar un paseo. Dar un paseo. Give a walk.
Give a walk.
Or there are a lot of ways. Or dar una vuelta. If it's super short, like just a little jaunt around the block or around the neighborhood, it's often expressed as dar una vuelta. A vuelta is like around, a lap, like a lap, una vuelta. A vuelta is a turn, like you go around the block, you turn, you're back. Una vuelta, a lap around, dar una vuelta. It's also expressed as, oh, here it comes, pasearse. Take a walk. Pasea, not pasar, because that would be too simple. Pasearse. Pasearse. I'm breaking it up into syllables there. Pasearse. Pasearse. Because that paseo word means a walk. It's the noun that means a walk. Un paseo, a walk. Me paseo. But it's reflexive. Me paseo por la mañana con mi perrito. I walk with my doggy in the morning.
So how would you use caminar then with irse?
Oh, with irse?
Yeah, so do I, because I look at I can't just go me voy caminar. That's kind of like me going for a walk.
You can say voy a caminar. Voy a caminar. I am going to walk. Voy a caminar mañana. I'm going to walk tomorrow. You can. Voy a caminar. You can.
Okay.
You can say me voy a caminar if you want to make it sound real. You want to give it the idea of motion. I'm taking off on a walk. Me voy a caminar. You can. So there are a lot of little twists and nuance, you know. Vuelta is kind of a short lap. Yeah.
So there's a lot of right answers.
There are a lot of right answers. Sometimes
Okay.
there's not. Sometimes there's not one right answer, but sometimes those little different answers might have a different twist, a different nuance behind them. And
So
sometimes they don't.
So voy a caminar todos los días.
Voy a caminar todos los días. I'm going to take a walk every day.
And that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Sí, exacto. Okay.
Gracias.
Okay. De nada. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Any other question before I send you off to smaller groups to talk about what you typically do? Sí, no, sí, no, sí, no. Ok. Claro, ustedes necesitan 5 minutos, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Sí, 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 claro, aquí. Cierto que necesitan 5 minutos. Okay, I'm going to set my timer. I want you to talk about what you typically do. Kind of coach each other through. If you come up with questions, that's okay. Come on back to the big group and we'll address the questions.